Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today I'm going to be your captain as we set sail on this journey to uncover what is in fact a hoax, but not necessarily a hate hoax, although it has a gendered element to it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. I didn't actually cover it when the story broke at the time, but it involves Brick Lady, who claimed at the time that a man threw a brick at her face because he was so into her. He asked her for her number and she said no because she's a strong, independent woman, and that man, filled with all the patriarchal misogyny, decided that a brick was his only solution. Well, it turns out that is not the case. She is currently being indicted for lying to the police and GoFundMe fraud, or theft by fraud, whatever they call it in the state of Texas, in the city of Houston, and that's what we want to talk about today. But before we get into the financial malfeasance of Brick Lady, let's talk about your financial malfeasance and bricks of gold with today's sponsor. Gold has surpassed $2,100 an ounce, and recently former President Donald J. Trump warned that the US losing its reserve currency status would be the greatest defeat in our 200-plus year history. Now we have conflicts breaking out in Israel, breaking out between Yemen and all over the Middle East, and all of this spells disaster for the economic outlook. On top of that, we also have an election year, and let's be honest, the incentives are to lower the interest rates. When you lower the interest rates, that incentivizes more borrowing, and guess what? There appears to be a correlation between the national debt and the price of gold. This is one of the reasons why I'm partnering with National Gold Group, because you can help secure your IRA, diversify by putting some of your money in precious metals, and right now, for those of you out there in my audience, they are offering a wonderful offer where you can get a fee waiver for IRAs for qualifying transfers. Now, if you're interested in diversifying your portfolio and protecting your investments from oncoming economic troubles, call them at 866-826-2603 and mention Actual Justice Warrior this channel so that you can get in on all the great deals for you guys out there in my audience. There is always a risk with any investment, and past performance is not necessarily a guarantee of future outcome.
Right now, 10 competing claims about this viral video.
Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face?
As the woman's seen and cancels her plan to turn herself in for theft charges.
So, Rhoda Osman, aka Brick Lady, was in fact hit. She did in fact have physical contact made against her, and that's why her face was swollen. And then she decided to post this viral video that she has since deleted, talking about what happened at the time, which just goes to show you that even reporting a story almost immediately can lead to somebody lying almost immediately, which I will explain to you after we cut to this clip.
Yo, this man just hit me in my face with a brick, and all these black men just what?
This video has been seen millions of times.
Now, as you can see, this lady right here is saying that this man just hit me in the face with a brick, and all of these black men watched. Now, as I said, even though this is a hoax, and I think some people are reporting it as a hate hoax, it's not really a hate hoax. You have a black lady and black men. However, what is in fact the hoax is the motivation and everything around what she said about her injury, except for the fact that she was in fact hit by a man. But we're going to get into the discrepancies in the story because they actually have the person that she accused of this assault being interviewed at the local news for the first time, telling his side of the story. And I think that is quite illuminating because his version of events, which by the way is backed up by the surveillance video, versus her version of events, are quite dichotomous. They're quite different. They differ in key ways, if you catch my drift.
The man accused of the viral brick throw reached out to me for his first interview.
This was a well thought of plan. A diabolical plan.
Olin Douglas is a father, son, and small business owner, but in September, allegations made by 33-year-old Rhoda Osman nearly put it all at risk.
It caused people who I thought really knew me to kind of betray me.
So far, there's a major discrepancy right here. And again, as I said, his story is backed up by the surveillance evidence and by the witnesses. Her story is backed up by the fact that it was better for her GoFundMe for her to tell this version of events. So in her original version, she wasn't doing anything. She was just standing around outside of a club, looking all good, looking fresh to death. And then all of a sudden, a man came up to her and said, "Hey, you're beautiful. You're literally perfect, can I get your number? And when she said no, all of a sudden, Rock Smash was activated. They transformed into, what is that, Golem, the Pokemon? I'm gonna go with Golem, and clocked her in the face, and that's how she got that bruise. However, in this version of events, they actually met in a location, decided to go to a secondary location. However, she was intoxicated, she was getting at him, getting all up in his face, eventually got violent, and he struck her back in response.
Douglas says he met her at a club near the Galleria as she wore a mask that only revealed her eyes. He invited her to an after party.
It's as if she was trying to get in some type of conflict.
But says she was aggressive and very intoxicated. They ended up in a car with friends.
She physically didn't start touching me until I asked her to leave. So you gotta get out.
Outside the car, Houston police say surveillance video then showed Osman slapping him in the face before he hit her back with what appears to be a plastic water bottle in hand.
Now that right there is actually crucial, because his version of events says that he told her to leave. He rejected her, which is quite ironic because the whole way that she was painting this to the mainstream media, the whole way that she painted this in terms of the GoFundMe, was that she was the one who rejected him, and that's why he just decided that it was brickin' time and attacked her completely unprovoked, obviously due to the fact that his toxic masculinity was being questioned. And again, I'm not really projecting all of these thoughts and ideas onto her. This is in the original video, and this was in the response to her video, the nearly $40,000 that were raised for her based on this account. And it appears to be that it's exactly the opposite of how it's being portrayed.
You should never hit a woman in general, but I didn't want to hit her, actually. It was like she hit me and I just reacted.
Okay, so this obviously leads to a bunch of different questions. First and foremost, at the top of that list of questions is this guy even straight? Okay, in all seriousness, this begs an interesting question for me, and believe me, I am somebody who believes in self-defense, and I don't think women are licensed to go around just slapping people all willy-nilly, but did this go too far? And I'm not necessarily speaking to the result, where she slapped him across the face. He appears to be perfectly fine from that slap. I'm talking about the use of the water bottle in order to strike her back.
Houston police say surveillance video then showed Osman slapping him in the face before he hit her back with what appears to be a plastic water bottle in hand.
You should never hit a woman in general, but I didn't want to hit her, actually. It was like she hit me and I just reacted.
Because that is technically an escalation with a weapon, and he did describe her as drunk, belligerent, and kind of out of it. So is it acceptable for a woman who hits you with an open-handed slap for you to respond by clocking her with a water bottle, which, however minor a weapon or force multiplier that actually is in fact a force multiplier in this particular scenario? And honestly, even though this woman is definitely the bad guy in this situation, I'm not about it. Now, I know people are already writing, well, women want equality, so this is equality. But the thing is, we recognize that there are differences between men and women. We recognize that even a punch from this dude to her face is going to be far more damaging than a slap, and that is not acceptable behavior. Now, I always say that if you try to sucker punch me, you try to knock me out cold, which could potentially kill me, that you are not entitled to a fair one-on-one karate battle. But this guy already had an overwhelming physical advantage, and I don't want the fact that she lied about this after the fact and that she is completely in the wrong for starting this to obfuscate the fact that this dude apparently did hit her incredibly hard, causing a serious injury to her face, and that probably was unnecessary force if we're being realistic about this situation. That being said, the version of events about asking or being asked for a number and then being hit with a brick is just but one of the lies that she told about this particular instance, because there's actually another version of the story, which I think is interesting as well, because how could it possibly be both?
According to court documents, the footage didn't match what Osman told police, that a male Uber driver threw a brick at her and tried to kidnap her, that she did her own investigation and was told that Douglas was the one who assaulted her.
So in this version of the story, which by the way includes her own investigation, she was getting into an encounter with an Uber driver. The Uber driver threw the brick at her, assaulted her unprompted. Again, we're missing the phone number thing that was stated before. and then he tried to kidnap her, which is interesting because according to the sequence of the events in the charging documents that are backed up by the surveillance video, they got out of the car first and then the assault happened. But again, I find it fascinating that in his version of the event, it appears to be set off by a drunk woman being rejected after she was belligerent, and all of her various different versions have to do with everybody wanting her so bad, the fact that they got violent because they couldn't have her. It seems to be a little bit ridiculous that her version of the story turns out like this. Would you be surprised to learn that this is in fact a graduate student?
She's now charged with theft because prosecutors say she made it up and tried to profit from this GoFundMe that raised more than $42,000.
Now, what's interesting about this GoFundMe fraud claim is that Osmond reportedly, according to the charging document, actually filed another GoFundMe claim back in 2020, claiming that she was assaulted by a private security guard while she was living in Minneapolis. She claimed that she suffered a black eye, facial contusions, and injuries on her leg from that, and in that fundraiser, she requested $5,000 to pay for her medical bills, legal fees, and other costs. It is unclear to NBC at the time of this reporting whether or not she got that money, and that GoFundMe campaign has also been taken down. But interestingly enough, a friend who previously stayed with Osmond while living in Minneapolis said Osmond's claims were a lie, and they, quote, wanted no part of it, according to the charging documents. So we have a history of this person potentially committing GoFundMe fraud, which would lead me to ask the question if the reason she was wearing a mask, as stated by the guy that's being accused, or initially was accused,
Douglas says he met her at a club near the Galleria as she wore a mask that only revealed her eyes,
was because she already had this injury and she was trying to provoke this physical contact.
It's been a divide between, black men, black women, and it's really evil what she did.
So this guy right here says it's evil what she did. She's creating a divide between black women and black men. And to be fair to him on this particular point, that is what she did in her video. She said that she was hit in the face and all of these black men just stood idle. They didn't care. She was clocked with a brick and they were all good with it happening. Now, again, I will point out that supposedly he hit her with the water bottle. She claimed that an Uber driver threw a brick at her, and all of these people saw presumably what actually happened, and that's why they didn't react all crazy.
Police didn't have this surveillance video, this evidence that basically clears you. What kind of situation do you think you would be in?
I would be that guy that hit a girl with a brick. I'm black. I'm surprised I didn't get arrested in 30 seconds from this going out.
So this guy right here is trying to play the race card, saying that as a black man, it is a miracle that he wasn't arrested within 30 seconds and all of that. But the thing is, her statements to the police made no sense. She said she conducted her own investigation in order to identify this person, and that's not how the police department tends to work. So his weird playing of the race card right here, when again this is a black on black incident, seems to be absurd, except for the fact that she brought it up, but it's not going to gain any bonus sympathy points with me. So honestly, it's putting me off of him in a little bit, especially considering that he did in fact use a bottle, which is again a minor force multiplier, against her in response to a slap, and I do think that that was inappropriate. Now, everything she did leading up to that and everything she did after that, also inappropriate and also criminal and also deserving of scorn, but I think it should be fair to judge everybody based on their actions in this scenario, and it appears his actions not very great. On top of that, he said she was wearing a mask during their first meeting, and it appears she went mask off with how bad of a person she actually is. Yes, I'm nailing it with the jokes.
Douglas says he's received death threats from complete strangers.
She's just manipulating people using their pain. And that should be the true crime here.
Okay, seriously, is this guy even straight? I'm kidding. Here on the Actual Justice Warrior channel, let me make this clear. We support the LGBTQXXIIP Elemental J Elemental K community. We put the black and brown stripes above the gay pride flag. That's how we roll.
He hopes people online will be more conscious.
The internet is the internet. It's not real life all the time.
But honestly, just the way he said, the internet is the internet
The internet is the internet.
makes me laugh, and it just adds a little bit more of a wrinkle to the story, a little bit more intrigue to this, the fact that this guy might not even be a straight, so everything about her story is potentially just ridiculous and absurd and not true in every possible way. But again, that's my speculation. I'm not saying anything. Don't believe it just because I'm on the internet, because I don't know if you guys know this, the internet is the internet.
The internet is the internet.
Anyway, I don't know what else to add to this story. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about a weird hoax that ended up leading to criminal charges for the hoaxer. Till next time.